whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all by Shem HaMashiach Yahushai, giving thanks to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, by him. All praise to the Heavenly Father. We ask that the Most High watch over this class today and allow his spirit to dwell within us while we teach. All right, so we left off last week with Job. And so let's start back with Job. Okay, and I sent you a verse, Job chapter 29, showing you Job's charities. But there was another verse that we went through. Let's go to, we went through Job chapter 2, and it spoke on his charities. And chapter 3. Let's go to Job chapter 42. If you want to look up to somebody, it's good to look up to a man like Job, because he was perfect in the sight of the Most High. Job chapter 42, and we're going to start at verse 1. And it reads, Then Job answered the Most High and said, I know that thou canst do everything, and that no thought can be withholden from me. Who is he that hideth counsel without knowledge? Therefore have I uttered that I understood not things too wonderful for me, which I knew not. Here I beseech thee, and I will speak, I will demand of you, and declare thou unto me, I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but not mine eye seeth thee. Wherefore I abhor myself, and repent in dust and ashes. Now Job is at the end of his last leg at this point. He's been going through a lot, right? Satan has been having way with Job, and Job is about to give up. But he's still got his integrity. As he said, though he slay me, I shall maintain my integrity. And so he's still keeping his integrity throughout all this in front of his friends on top of it that are with him. Verse 7. And it was so that after the Most High had spoken these words unto Job, the Most High said to Eliphaz the Temanite, My wrath is kindled against you, and against thy two friends, for you have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job hath. Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering. And my servant Job shall pray for you, for him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly. In that ye have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job. So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamanite went and did according to, or as the Most High commanded them. The Most High accepted Job. Who did he accept? Job. And the Most High turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his what? Prayed for his friends. Also the Most High gave Job twice as much as he had before. When it comes to this book of Job, it comes down to these last 3 friends that Job was sitting amongst that caused Job to do his last form of charity. And what was his charity? To pray for his friends. And so even unto death, we are still to do charity. When you saw Yahushua on the cross or on the tree, he was still doing charities. He was like, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He was still praying. Even unto death, pray for your friends. Pray for the family of Israel. Heavy, man. Look at this, verse 11. Because, when Yahushua was on the tree and on the cross, wasn't nobody around. All the people that he healed, they wasn't there. All the people he fed, they wasn't there. And the same thing with Job. Look at this, verse 11. Then came there unto him all his brethren and all his sisters and all they that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him and comforted him over all the evil that the Most High had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So these are brethren and sisters that Job did charities with, that we read in the book of Job chapter 3. Job was ministering to the needy, and he was establishing all types of charities with the people of that land. Now let's go to Job chapter 4. Job chapter 4, verse 3. Let me make a correction here. Job chapter 4, verse 3. And we read this last week. It says, Behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. Thy words have upholden him that was fallen, and thou hast strengthened the feeble knees. But now it is come upon you, and thou faintest. It toucheth you, and thou art troubled. So what Job had done prior to that was help all those who were weak. He came to them during the time of their needs. And so when we read Job chapter 42, verse 11, these are all the people coming back to help him. After he rejuvenated himself, after he came back, just like Yahushua, when he resurrected, he was here for 40 days and he dwelt among his brethren for 40 days. And they all had feasts while he was here. He was enlightening them in the scriptures. See, the moral of the story with Job praying for his friends was charity. That's what it was. Even unto death. Give charity, even unto death. That's the moral of the story. We got to understand how far that goes, because when we go to the book of James, let's go there real quick. Let's go to James chapter 5 and verse 19. Let's start at 18. And it reads, And he prayed again, and the heaven gave rain, and the earth, this is talking about Elias, and the heaven gave rain, and the earth brought forth her fruit. Brethren, if any of you do err from the truth, and one convert him, let him know that he which converteth the sinner from the error of his way shall save a soul from death, and shall hide a multitude of sins. Y'all see that? Now that error could be something very small. And we're going to go through the scriptures and find what that is. Okay? Because it says, he that errs from the truth. That means he was already in the truth, and he erred while in the truth. And so you help save a multitude of sins. That's why it's good to be on these conference calls or in classrooms or to be in communication with each other, because we can help each other. It's just like the new moon last week. I said it was a new moon 2-3 days early. It was cloudy up here. I couldn't really tell. Brother Yahar came 2-3 days later and said, no, man, it's on this day. 2-3 days later, I was able to see the new moon too. That right there helps all of us. The multitude of sins is everybody else falling from that, you see? So it's good to have brothers who are able to correct one another. It goes to and fro. That's the friendship. That's how we all stay on the right path. Having brothers and sisters who are like-minded, because we all slip, we all fall from the grace of perfectness. We all slide a little bit. We don't even realize it sometimes. Sometimes we just be tired when we say things. It's like Moses, when he was in the wilderness and the children of Israel asking for water. The scripture says that they were tired and weak and exhausted. Moses was tired of them complaining. He smited the rock more than once, caused him to err, and all of Israel erred from that one thing. All it takes is one little thing. That's why you can't boast upon you being perfect all the time, because we make errors all the time. And it takes friends to put us on the right path, those who keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Let's go to John chapter 15. Look at John chapter 15. John chapter 15, verse 12. The Gospel of John. And it reads, This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Greater love have no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. See that? That's what we're to do. Lay down our lives for our friends. Stand in the midst of that fire coming down. Just by you doing that, and it may not even seem like a big deal, but you prevent the principalities of Satan coming on you. That's how you stand in the way. Stand in the way of people's lives to prevent us all from falling. It's a blessing. So here Job is on his deathbed making peace with the Most High, and his friends, his three friends who are around him, they're in a room talking foolish, turned around and offended the Most High. Just that quick. Let's go back to Job 42. It's amazing how the parallels of the scriptures all through here, if you study it, you'll see it. Job chapter 42, verse 7. And it was so that after the Most High had spoken these words unto Job, the Most High said to Eliphaz the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against thee and against thy two friends. So just think about that right there. Just think about it. And just ponder. And let's look at another verse. Let's go to Job chapter 2. Job chapter 2, verse 4. Job chapter 2, verse 4. And it reads, and Satan answered the Most High and said, skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. So what did Eliphaz and the Temanite and the rest of them do? They cursed the Most High, and they were trying to get Job to curse the Most High. Let's read verse 6. And the Most High said unto Satan, behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Most High, and smite Job with sore biles, from the sole of his foot unto his crown. What was Satan doing? He was wailing on Job, man. He was throwing haymakers, as we say in the streets, combination punches, just beating him up, right? And Job steadily sitting there praying, asking for forgiveness of his sins. Okay? Look at verse 8. It's amazing. And it reads, and he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. Then said his wife unto him, doest thou still retain thine integrity? Curse the Most High and die. That's what his wife said. But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of the Most High, and shall we not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips. So Job kept his integrity. While his wife was sitting there talking foolish, he still kept his integrity. It's the same thing we read in the book of Job, chapter 42 and 7. His friends were talking foolish, but he still kept his integrity. So when these two were talking, you have to understand, or three was talking, Satan was in there welling away at Job too at the same time. I mean, Job was at the end. He felt like he was about to be done. Satan there just making way at him. But the Most High had enough of that. He said, enough, and told Satan to flee. He finally said, okay, you did your time. You had your time to beat him up. There's a time for everything, like we read in the book of Ecclesiastes. There's a time for everything, for you to go through hell and for you to be at peace. You know, there's a time for all that. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 17. Proverbs chapter 17, verse 17. And it reads, a friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. See that? So Job had already established within his life a form of agape love. Agape is a term used for the Most High's love, keeping the commandments, true love. He kept that agape love that Hamashiach taught us, to love our brother and our sisters, even when they speak ill will. This is what Job had learned from the Most High. This is the same thing we have to learn when we have friends. Same thing Job showed us here in the scriptures. Job is a deep book. Let's go to Matthew chapter 5, verse 44. Matthew chapter 5, verse 44. And the good thing is about this whole class is we know who our friends are, according to the scriptures in Leviticus chapter 19 and 17. Yeah, let's go to Leviticus 19 and 17. Let's just use this as a frame of reference for this class. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17, and it reads, Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Okay? What is rebuke? When we err, we get rebuked. And there are levels to rebuke. Some brothers think the only way to rebuke is yelling. That's just one form of rebuke. There's other ways of rebuke. You can just talk to a brother too. So there's different levels of rebuke. Sometimes it's necessary to yell at certain people. Sometimes, depending on who that person is. But in other times, there's another way to rebuke, and that's just talking. Basic communication. Rebuke is showing your brother right from wrong. Did Yahushua ever do that? The only time he rebuked someone is when he went into the house of Den and saw them making a mockery of the Most High's house. Now, he couldn't come in there being nice. He had to be throwing pots and pans, flipping tables, because they had turned the house of the Most High into a place of wolves. So it says here, verse 18, Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the power. We know who the neighbor is. It's Israel. All right, so let's go back to Matthew chapter 5, and let's read verse 44. Matthew 5 and 44. And it reads, But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you. Why does he say bless them that curse you? Because you're going to have some brothers, y'all just going to fall out of whack. Y'all going to be cursing each other out. Look, man, don't talk to me no more. I can't stand you, blah, blah, blah. I hate your eyes and your mama and everything else. It's going to come to that sometimes. But you're supposed to be the bigger and better person. It says, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, because friends can use you and then they can turn around and persecute you like Judas. Verse 45, that ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven, for he maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. All right, and that rain can come in many different forms. The rain can come with weapons. You know, when he says it comes on the unjust, that rain is destruction. Most High is a man of war, pursuant to Exodus 15:3. He got many, many, many strategies, so that rain can come many ways. You know, it can come sideways, upside down, all kinds of ways. 46. For if you love them which love you, what reward have you? Do not even the publicans the same? Right? And if you salute your brethren only, what do you more than others? Do not even the publicans so? You see a man that don't have any friends, none, he don't know how to make friends. You know what I mean? If you have two friends, you're doing great. You're doing better than most. How many did Job have at his side? There's only three. Was it many? That's all you need, really. If you have more, that's a blessing. Or it could be a curse if they're not focused on the Most High. But we're going to read how to gather friends. And we read about it a little bit last week, how we'll make friends. Pursuant to the Apocrypha, it says, a man that keepeth the commandments will speak sweetness to his friends. The commandments is sweet. You would gather friends by that sweetness. Verse 47. And if ye salute your brethren only, what do you more than others? Do not even the publicans so? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father, which is in heaven, is perfect. You're only going to be perfect when you have friends who think like you. Well, not like you, like the Most High. Friends that think like the Most High. Keep the commandments. Because you can go off. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 13. You know, when I said, Your friends shouldn't speak like you, because that's how the publicans went off. That's how the Sadducees and the Pharisees went off. They all thought alike, but none of them was keeping the charity and the commandments of the Most High. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20. He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. So why does he say, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed? When we read in the book of Job, chapter 42, the Most High's anger was kindled because of Job's friends. The wise of the four was who? The wise of the four was Job. And he helped those who spoke as fools to get out of destruction or harm's way. Because the Most High, he could have sent on them all types of plagues. You know what I mean? Could have did it easily. Where's that at? Psalms, let's go to Psalms chapter 78, verse 49. He cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath and indignation and trouble, by sending evil angels among them. See that? He made a way to his anger. He spared not their soul from death, but gave their life over to the pestilence. That's why you don't want to make the Most High angry. The Most High get angry pretty quick sometimes. He's long merciful, but he could get angry pretty fast too. As we go through the scriptures, you'll see it. You'll see the Most High don't be playing. He said he could send or cast down fierceness of his angers with evil angels. That's the form of rain. That's rain. You don't want that rain coming down on you. That's man. You definitely don't want that. So, in your group of friends, someone has to be the wise one to save the rest of you, and to save all of you from being foolish. We see groups of fools all the time when we watch the news. We see bank robbers. Sometimes all the bank robbers, they all get caught or shot dead, one or the other. It's the same thing in marriages between a husband and wife. One of them has to be wise in the scriptures to correct the other, or it could be destruction for the whole marriage, for the both of them and the children. Mother-in-law and father-in-law, they could be destruction for everyone if no one is keeping the commandments. Let's see an old example of a married couple with this equation. Let's go into the book of Exodus. Book of Exodus, chapter 4, and let's go to verse 20. Exodus 4 and 20. And it reads, And Moses took his wife and his sons and set them upon an ass, and he returned to the land of Egypt. Let's go up to 18. That's some more meat in this. Let's start at 18. Exodus chapter 4, verse 18. And Moses went and returned to Jethro, his father-in-law, and said unto him, Let me go and pray thee, and return unto my brethren which are in Egypt, and see whether they be yet alive. And Jethro said to Moses, Go in peace. And the Most High said unto Moses in Midian, Go, return into Egypt, for all the men are dead which sought thy life. And Moses took his wife and his sons, and set them upon an ass, and returned to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the rod of the Most High in his hand. And the Most High said unto Moses, When thou goest to return into Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine hand, but I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go. So at this point, Moses is like, I'm the man. The Most High is telling me what to do, and I'm about to do it. Can't nothing stop me. I am the man. I'm perfect. This is Moses. This is his thought process. He's going back to see his brother and his mama, going to see his brother Aaron. It's like a homecoming. He can't wait to get back. He's coming back with the spiritual powers. He's got a cane that could turn into a snake. He can't wait to get home. We're going to keep reading down. In verse 22 it reads, And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, Thus saith the Most High, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto you, Let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn. And it came to pass by the way in the end that the Most High met him and sought to kill him. Wait a minute, what happened? I thought he was perfect. All of a sudden, the Most High wants to kill him, just that quick. That's why you have to strive for perfection. Because even when the Most High speaks to you, afterwards you can still go off, just that quick. You ain't special. Verse 25. Then Zipporah, which is his wife, took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin off her son and cast it at his feet, and said, Surely a bloody husband art thou to me. So he let him go. Then she said, A bloody husband thou art because of the circumcision. See that? So what happened? His wife saved him. Why did she save him? Because she knew the commandments of Abraham. Circumcision. He had to keep that. It was 8 days. He had to circumcise the son, take off the foreskin, and the blood has to drop on the ground near your feet. That's the covenant of the generations of Israel, the blood. So Moses forgot. He was gloating on his highness. He totally forgot. He was riding into town. He almost died. He almost was imperfect. And, the crazy thing is, the Most High would have raised somebody else up. He would have raised up Aaron, possibly, to do what Moses did. That's all it would have took. One little slip up and caused everything to change in history. Let's go to Sirach chapter 26, verse 22. So yeah, his wife, if it wasn't for his wife, he would have died. That's why I said, you got to marry somebody or know somebody or convert your loved one to keep the commandments so you both can protect each other. If one goes off, the other one is save them. Look at Sirach chapter 26, verse 22. It reads, A harlot shall be accounted as spit, but a married woman is a tower against death to her husband. That's what Zipporah was, a tower to her husband. She saved his life. Now, if he was with a worldly woman, what do you think would have happened to him? He would have died. That's what a harlot is, basically. She's in love with the rest of the world. She's fornicating with everything else. You see that on the media, social media, Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, all these women twerking and all that stuff. How they going to save you from death? All they care about is how they look, how big they butt is. Get you put to death by the Most High quick. That's why you got to be with a wise woman, and a woman has to be with a wise man. Very important to teach each other the commandments and to go over them, to learn it, so you don't make those errors. Moses did not marry a worldly woman. You can't jump at friends too quickly. You can't jump at people too quickly, because if they're not really keeping the commandments and not wanting to learn the commandments, then what? It could jump on you and cause you to sin. What Zipporah did was a form of open rebuke to save her husband. That's a form of open rebuke right there. Threw that foreskin on his feet, like splat. Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. When I read that when I was younger, I didn't quite understand what that whole chapter was about until I got older and got into the truth. The truth opens your eyes to everything. There's so many scriptures that I didn't understand while I was in Christianity that I understand now because of the commandments. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 7. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 12. And it reads, But to the rest speak I, not the Most High, if any brother have a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. That's if she's pleased to dwell with him. And the woman which hath a husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. See, we spoke about that. You can affect the whole household based on two fools being in the house. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases, but the Most High has called us to peace. See? For what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband? Or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife? But as the Most High has distributed to every man, as the Most High have called everyone, so let him walk, and so ordain I in all churches. So what is the Most High saying here? It's the same thing with your friends too. The same way that we're talking about this marriage is the same way with your friends. You know, to be entreated with friends is to make sure one of you at least are grounded in the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments, so the Most High can have mercy. But if you got a friend that's fighting against you and he don't want nothing to do with you because you're in the truth, let him depart too. It's the same thing. You don't want to bring that destruction on yourself. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 9, verse 7. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 7, and it reads, He that reproveth a scorner getteth to himself shame, and he that rebuketh a wicked man getteth himself a blot. Reprove not a scorner, lest he hate thee. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee. That's pretty clear. If you reprove a scorner, that scorner is going to hate you. So if you dwelleth with someone like that, or you have a friend like that, and you continually tell them about the law, statutes, commandments, and they don't want to hear it, eventually that person is going to hate you for everything you stand for, especially when it comes to the scriptures, or that woman that you're with, or that husband that you're with, because you keep reproving them for something that you're keeping, and they don't want to change. That's the thing. You have to want to change. If they don't want to change, you can't make them change. And that's what the scripture is all about. You don't want them hating you because you keep telling them the truth. Tell them once, tell them twice, and then get out of there. Look at Sirach chapter 12 in the Apocrypha. Sirach chapter 12, and let's read verse 14. Sirach 12 and 14. It reads, So one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? So you go back and forth with an unbeliever that don't want to believe, you in trouble. Most High ain't gonna pity you. You just dumb going back and forth to your vomit. Basically, it's vomit. You're going back to your vomit. I mean, a lot of people have a hard time with this, especially when feelings is attached. Going back to someone who don't believe, especially if that person don't want to dwell with you in peace, whether you're in the truth or not. That makes things difficult. And the Most High is showing his colors by saying, okay, so you let that person back in the house. I ain't going to show you no pity this time. Whatever happens, happens. Destruction hits your house. Now you know why. It's pretty simple. That's the formula. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 12 and 26. Some people have this wisdom and some people don't. You know, you call different friends, man, I don't know what to do, especially men when they go through divorces with their ex-wives, or women go through divorces with their ex-husbands, not believers. And I don't know what to do. You know, I love him. I love her. I want them to come back. They come back in the house, and then what happened? Everything falls apart. You guys go right back to your vomit, and you have the same problems you had before. Fighting and fussing and cursing. Same problems because no one has changed their thoughts as far as understanding what the Most High wants. When they get married, what do they say? They say, in God we trust. They put everything in God, but they don't talk about the commandments. Look at Toby. Let's go to Toby. I don't know how I got on this marriage thing. It just jumped on me. Let's go to the book of Toby. And let's go to find it. Tobit chapter 7. And let's read let's go to verse 12. Verse 11. Tobit chapter 7, verse 11. And it reads, I have given my daughter in marriage to 7 men who died that night they came in unto her. Nevertheless, for the present be merry. But Tobias said, I will eat nothing here till we agree and swear one to another. So what are they agreeing on, and what are they swearing to? Tobit is talking to his future father-in-law. What are they agreeing on? They're agreeing on, look, there's got to be someone wise in this house. We got to keep the commandments. We got to have an agreement to follow the Most High. I'm not marrying your daughter because I'm end up dying too. I don't want to bring pity on myself for marrying her and she not keeping the commandments. Ragu said, then take her from henceforth according to the manner. What manner? The commandments. For thou art her cousin, and she is thine, and the merciful power give you good success in all things. Then he called his daughter Sarah, and she came to her father, and he took her by the hand and gave her to be wife to Tobias, saying, behold, take her after the law of Moses, and lead her away to thy father, and be blessed them. And called Edna his wife, and took paper, and did write an instrument of covenants, and sealed it. What's that? That's the agreement of following the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. That was the only way Tobit was going to get married to this woman. See that? He was like, I am not about to die. She already killed 7 dudes. They in the ways of wickedness. They're in worldly wonders. Basically, that's what happened. Destruction. So yeah, you got to make that covenant, and you got to keep that covenant, even with those that come into your life. Can you be at peace with people like that? Yeah, basically, this woman that he's marrying is going to be at peace with him, and she's going to learn as he's in the household as the head of the house. She's going to learn from Toby. Look at let's go to another book in this Bible, in the Apocrypha, and look at the history of Susanna, chapter 1, and let's go to verse 1. History of Susanna, chapter 1, verse 1. It reads, there dwelt a man in Babylon called Jehoiakim, and he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Chelcias, a very fair woman, and one that feared the Most High. See that? Her parents also were righteous and taught their daughter according to the law of Moses. Why? Because they're getting her ready for her husband by keeping the laws. So we have to be in an agreement. If we're going to get married to anyone, they got to be trying to keep the laws, at least be at peace with us for keeping the customs of our forefathers. Pretty simple formula. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 12, verse 26. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 26. And it reads, Proverbs chapter 12, verse 26. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. So what does this verse mean when it says the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor? Basically, it's saying, who are our neighbors? Those who are Israelite born and those who are proselytes who keep his commandments. It means that you choose your friends carefully. That's what it means to be more righteous and excellent than his neighbor. Choose your friends carefully, right? Because you got people out there that make friends based off of, oh, you like to do this? I like to do that too. And you make that your friend. And it's the wrong tower between you two, because you get along. A lot of marriages are formed that way. You like something, you like going to the movies, she like going to the movies. So you base your whole relationship off you guys met at the movies. You see how stupid that sounds? Oh, I met her at the bar. We was drinking together. We both got something in common. We like to drink. That is idiotic. You're gonna that's doomed to fail, bound to fail. Whatever marriages are formed on, ask any couple that are married, hey, how'd you guys meet? What do you guys have in common? See what they say. You can form the whole relationship based on that alone. Oh, you guys got that in common? Oh, okay. What about the Most High? You guys love the Lord? Oh, I love the Lord, but you know, she believes in something else. She's atheist. Oh, yeah. Well, how does that work? Oh, we fight all the time over it. That's a problem right there. Big problem. Got to be equally yoked. Go to James chapter 4. Yeah, so you got to choose your friends carefully. And it's not just relationships with uh, married couples or betrothing one another, but also with friends of the same sex. And I'm not talking homosexuals because I know some of y'all went there. But yeah, James. James chapter 4, verse 4. James chapter 4, verse 4. It reads, Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with the Most High? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of the Most High. Do you think that the scripture saith in vain, the spirit that dwelleth in us lusteth to envy? So we find friends who are willing to deal with us and our ways of following the Most High. That's a good thing. It's just uh, like we just read about the unbelieving husband and the believing wife. If he loves her and tolerates her and doesn't offend her, then he may rest in her. It's the same way with friends. If they don't want to be peaceable, let them depart. You got to be peaceable. Okay, that's what the scripture says. Be peaceable with all men. Why? Because you can win that person over eventually by just being peaceable. Let's read verse 6. But he giveth more grace, wherefore he saith, The Most High resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. Be peaceable. Submit yourselves, therefore, to the Most High. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Right. Those who are not peaceable with you, let them go. Let them depart. Don't eat with them or nothing. That's what the scriptures tell you. Let them depart. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 2. Look at this. This is a good example right here. Now, a lot of you be like, well, this man was already a man of God. But you never know. If you be at peace with people, eventually they will convert or possibly want to do the same thing that you're doing or keeping. When they start seeing the blessings that the Most High gives you, they'll be like, wow, how do you keep getting these blessings? What is it about you? What's so different? You don't do much. You don't say much, but keep getting these things. That's the Most High's blessing. They can't quite understand it. So what smart friends will do is they'll try to just watch you and observe what makes you different. And that's what happened in this parable. 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass, when the Most High would take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal. And Elijah said unto Elisha, Tarry here. He said, wait here. You ain't got to come with me, just wait here. I pray thee, for the Most High hath sent me to Bethel. And Elisha said unto him, As the Most High liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave you. So they went down to Bethel. So what did he do? He said, man, I'm going with you. I done seen all the things you done called hailstorms from the sky and, comets from the sky. I'm following you. Wherever you go, I'm going. If your God is the Most High God of Israel and he gives power like that, I want it too. That's how you win friends over. You got to be wise in this and kind of like crafty in it too to win over friends. Here's another example of making a friend. or a helping one. Let's go to, in the Apocrypha, let's go to Sirach chapter 12. The book of Sirach chapter 12, and this is twofold. This chapter is twofold. And it reads, when thou wilt do good, know to whom thou doest it. So shalt thou be thanked for thy benefit. So you have to know who you are helping. Very important. Those that depart from you, like friends or spouses that we read in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, why are you helping them? If they still calling, I need help with this, I need help with that, and you don't have any more ties to them, why are you really helping them? To bring destruction on yourself when they don't believe. I know it's hard, but eventually you got to cut them off. But it says, when thou wilt do good, know to whom thou doest it. So shalt thou be thanked for thy benefits. Do good to the godly man or woman, and thou shalt find a recompense. And if not from him, yet from the Most High. This is not my words. This is the Most High's word. What does the Bible mean? Basic instructions before leaving earth. All right. I mean, that's what they say. We're not leaving earth. We staying here. We staying on the earth. It says, there can no good come to him that is always occupied in evil, nor to him that giveth no alms. All right. So we have to consider that wisdom comes by keeping the Most High's commandments, but we also have to have circumspection towards people who try to push their ways in our lives to injure us. This is a topic that, we're on this verse and it requires much wisdom because of the day and time that we're in today. This topic that we're reading, it requires much wisdom because the laws of the land concerning a spouse or family or friends, you may be undergoing a lawsuit in court with a friend that departed and be required to pay them a debt. Okay? This is a form of overmastering one too. When you allow somebody to overmaster you, like we'll read right here, it says, give to the godly man and help not a sinner. Do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly. Hold back thy bread. Bread is the same thing as money. And give it not unto him, lest he overmaster you thereby. For thou shalt receive twice as much evil for all the good thou shalt have done unto you. So you end up in court because you fighting with a friend that departed, don't want nothing to do with you. And you end up having to pay a hefty fine or fee to this man. Guess what can come upon you? Evil. But that's the law of the land. You got brothers who paying child support to an evil woman, or vice versa. A woman who's keeping the commandments paying child support to an evil man. That could come right back on you. Whatever that evil man or evil woman is doing, fall right back on you. You wonder why, man, I ain't had no blessings until these kids turn 18. Things start getting better for you when they get older. You wonder why. You know what I mean? Look at this. For the Most High hateth sinners, and will repay vengeance unto the ungodly. He hateth sinners. You see that? Eventually, they're going to get what's coming to them. And keepeth them against the mighty day of their punishment. All right, so that's plain. The Most High is telling you what could possibly happen. But just because we're being overmastered, we still got to understand that there are still ordinances and laws and statutes that govern that, how we're supposed to act. So you have to pay your debt back. I mean, we're required to always pay our debt back as Israelites. We can't just walk away from it. That's a form of being in peace too. You got to pay your debt back. So we don't have any debtors or debtors as we read or pray about in Matthew chapter 5. When we pray to our Father's prayer, that's what we pray about. Forgive us of our debts and our debtors. Matthew chapter 5, verse 25. To agree quickly with your adversary, right? Whilst thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. Verily I say unto you, thou shalt by no means come out of thence till thou hast paid the uttermost for a thing. So you're going to have to pay everything back, all that debt back. Anything that's required of you to pay, you're going to have to pay it back if you go to court. You know, and that's just part of Romans chapter 13. Isn't that a form of destruction? Not being able to do what you want to do and having to pay a debt? That's a form of destruction. That's a form of putting you in a critical position. I mean, you don't have liberty to buy what you want or to have a luxury of buying, something to benefit you, because you got to really check your balances in your bank accounts. Make sure you got enough money to live. So yeah, that's a form of destruction when you go to court, having to pay a debt back. But it all falls on how you began dealing with friends. You know what I mean? A lot of us could have avoided a lot of different things by knowing what the scripture says about lending money to people and doing certain things and making relationships with people. And a lot of us could have avoided a lot of pitfalls by knowing what the Most High wanted in order to live righteously. All we have to do is listen to him and follow him. Let's go to Romans chapter 13. Book of Romans chapter 13. And this is also twofold as well, because it's talking about holy dignitaries, but it's also talking about the laws of the land as well, those who are in rulership position. Romans chapter 13 and 5, it says, wherefore you must needs be subject not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake. For this cause pay you tribute also, for they are the Most High's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. How are they the Most High's ministers? These, like I said, this is twofold. But remember in the scriptures where the Most High called Nebuchadnezzar his servant. Nebuchadnezzar was bringing us in captivity. How is he the servant? Because Israel sinned. Okay, so the Most High could use our enemies to be rulers over us when we sin. It says, render therefore to all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor. You go to court, you got to be at honor and in fear of the judge, because he holds your life on the line. You know, he can do whatever he wants to your life. Verse 8, owe no man anything, see that, but to love one another. For he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. So what we read in Sirach chapter 12 really is protecting us from falling into debt or into destruction, not to lend to an ungodly person. Verse 9, for this thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness. All this stuff brings sin upon you, whether it be debt or illness or sickness or anything. It says, thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. See that? Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. So it's important to keep the law. I don't know what these people are talking about keeping the laws. You got to do it. It's very important. I mean, this really gives you guidance on finding a good friend. With all this coronavirus stuff going on, we are to keep the Most High's commandments even more so, to the best of our ability. Because, like we spoke last week, there's a lot of people dying from this coronavirus. Like I said, I've never seen this many people die before. Not in 1 year, not like this. It's crazy. Movie stars and actors, a lot of people are passing away. But it's all prophecy. Us in the truth got to look at it as prophecy. Because when we look at, let's go to Ezekiel 9. I might be deviating away from friendship just a little bit here, but the Spirit has guided me to go here. When we look at Ezekiel 9, Let's read Ezekiel 9, chapter 1. And it reads, He cried also in mine ears with a loud voice, saying, Cause them that have charge over the city to draw near. We just read in Romans chapter 13, who has charge over the city? Government officials. Even every man with his destroying weapon in his hand. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate. All right, so who's coming from the higher gate? I'm going to read. Which lieth toward the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen. Do you know any people here that walks around wearing linen? They got power in their right hand. It says, with a writer's inkhorn by his side. And they went in and stood by the brazen altar. All right. What's that brazen altar? That's the Most High. The Most High is between us. Brazen altar. The Most High is here. And the glory of the Most High of Israel was gone up from the cherub whereupon he was. See that? What is the Most High sitting on? A cherub, a chariot, to the threshold of the house, and he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. So the Most High is calling down this angel, calling to this angel, telling him what to do down here on the earth. But if he's riding on the cherub, let's get a precept to match that. Let's go to 18 and 9. Psalms chapter 18, verse 9. And it reads, He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon the cherub. What is that darkness? Let's find this darkness real quick. Isaiah 60 and 2. Let's find this darkness. The book of Isaiah chapter 60 and 2. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Most High shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. All right, so now you know what the darkness is. All right, so let's go to Psalms chapter 27, verse 1, and let's see what it says. Psalms 27, verse 1 reads, The Most High is my light and my salvation. So who's our light? The Most High. Whom shall I fear? The Most High is the strength of my life. Of who shall I be afraid? So the Most High is our light. Let's find out what he wants us to do with that light and how to conduct ourselves with that light. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 23. Proverbs 6 and 23, and it reads, For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light. So what is light? The Most High wants us to be like him, and he gave us a law. So he's telling us the law is light. And reproofs of instruction are the way of life. So how do you have life? You have to reprove yourself. This is what Timothy 3 verse 16 talks about. So we got to reprove ourselves and come back to his law, statutes, commandments. All right, let's go to another verse. So now we know what the light is. Now we know what life is. It's the changing of your life to follow him. So who did the Most High send first? He sent his law on the earth. Who did the Most High send second to correct us of the law? He sent the Son. He sent his one and only begotten Son, who is the testament for us changing our lives. Let's go to the book of John. The Gospel of John chapter 1. Because he told us what the darkness was, and he told us what the light was. So now let's find out more information concerning that light. This is the Gospel of John chapter 1, verse 1, and it reads, In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with the Most High, and the Word was the Most High. So who is the Word? It's Hamashiach Yahushua. It's his Son. He is the embodiment of the Word. That's why he says, I was written in the beginning. He says, he spoke in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 7. He said, Lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me to do thy will, O power. So who was it written of? It was written of the Word, and the Word is of the Most High. Let's go back to the Gospel of John and let's go to verse 2. The same was in the beginning with the Most High. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. Everyone followed the truth when the Most High created us. No one did deviant. No one went against him. No one spoke against him. No one followed holidays. Everyone followed his holy days. Verse 5, and the light shineth in darkness. You see that? His light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Now the darkness is the people who follow other things, all different types of idolatries. They follow something different from the beginning. It's not the same information we received from the beginning. Verse 6, there was a man sent from the Most High, whose name was John. The same came for a witness, to bear witness of what? He said, I'm going to send another one of my servants to bear witness of this word that I sent so they could get it right before I send my son. So it says, the same came for a witness to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. Everyone is supposed to believe, just like we just read above, which says that all men followed the truth. All men followed the Most High. Verse 8, he was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. That was the true light, which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. See that? That is the light. So darkness right now is on the earth, and light is not here, is what he's telling you. Okay? The commandments are still in existence. The laws are still in existence. Because you can read the 10 commandments, and you won't see anything about homosexuality in there. You think the Most High is with people who commit homosexual acts? No, he's against it. So that's not part of the 10 commandments, but you are supposed to obey his laws. He didn't create mankind to be that way. And it's in the book of Romans chapter 1. He speaks about that. So the laws are still here. That is the lamp. That is the light, the law. Verse 10, he was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. That's why people don't understand the scriptures, because they don't know him. They forgot about him. Into all other things. Keeping Thanksgiving and Christmas and all these other things. They forgot about him. They pray with his name. They think that that's enough to get salvation, but it's not enough. They have to refrain from doing certain labors that are not of the Most High. So he was the light. I don't think we quite finished it. Psalms 18 and 9. Let's read Psalms 18 and 9 down to 10, and let's finish it. He bowed the heavens also, and came down, and darkness was under his feet. Now you know what the darkness is. The darkness is on the people. And he rode upon a cherub. That's telling you that he was riding on a what? An angel, a chariot, a UFO, and did fly. Yea, he did fly upon the wings of the wind. So is the Most High really coming down? Is it the Most High coming down on the earth? No, these are angels with the emblems of the Most High on their shirts, right? It's just like when you say the Oakland Police Department. When the official from the Oakland Police Department show up at your door, and you peep out the window of the curtain, and you see his sleeve, and you see that emblem on his sleeve. The Oakland Police is here. It's the same thing with the Most High. The Most High angel come down. The Most High is here. So who's riding on these cherubs? The angels of the Most High. They are the representatives of the Most High. See that? Let's go back to Ezekiel chapter 9 and 3. And the glory of the Most High of Israel was gone up from the cherub whereupon he was to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And you know you got ranks among the angels. And the Most High said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. All right, so what's going on in the midst? And what is this mark that he wants to set on these men? Let's go to Isaiah 8:16. The Most High has a mark, and Satan has a mark too. But the Most High's mark is simple for us. Isaiah chapter 8, verse 16. Isaiah chapter 8, verse 16. Bind up the testimony. What is the testimony? We'll go to that. Seal the law among my disciples. Bind up the testimony and seal the law among my disciples. What is that law that's going to be sealed? Right on your forehead, which is your spirit. Your spirit is in your forehead, right between your temples. So it's going to be sealed on your spirit within your body. And the Most High is sealing his mark on his disciples. That's the mark of the Most High. Let's find out what the testimony is. Let's go to Revelation 19:10. Revelation chapter 19, verse 10. Revelation chapter 19, verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. This is an angel and John the Revelator falling down on his knees to worship an angel. And the angel said, and he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahushai, worship the Most High. I got the testimony of Christ, what he said about the Most High. We got the testimony, and we got the law sealed upon us, right? This is for the testimony of Yahushai is the spirit of prophecy. The testimony is the spirit of prophecy and of Hamashiach. All right, so let's go back to Ezekiel. And we left off at 9 and 3 and 4. And it says, and the Most High said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst. You know, it's interesting because we read from 1 to 4, and we spoke about how there was an angel down here keeping notes. Because when you read Ezekiel, when you read Ecclesiastes 12 and 14, it talks about how every secret thing, whether it be good and bad, will be recorded. And so there's an angel with each and every one of us keeping tabs on what's going on down here on this earth, even with the wicked, because he hateth the wicked every day. And so remember when Peter had asked Yahushua, will you restore the kingdom? Remember that? Remember, let's go there. Let's go there real quick. Let's go to the book of Acts chapter 1. Just so you have an understanding, because it said that this angel looked up to the cherub where the Most High was, waiting for a decision, right? In the book of Ezekiel. Look at, let's start at Acts chapter 1, and let's read down. Acts chapter 1 and 1. It says, the former treatise have I made, O Theophilus, of all that Yahushua began both to do and teach, until the day in which he was taken up. After that, he, through the Holy Spirit, had given commandments unto the apostles, whom he had chosen. He just reestablished the commandments. To whom also he showed himself alive after his passion, by many infallible proofs, being seen of them 40 days, and speaking of things pertaining to the kingdom of the Most High. And being assembled together with them, commanded them that they should not depart from Jerusalem, but wait for the promise of the Father, which saith in he, ye have heard of me. For John truly baptized with water, but ye shall be baptized with the Holy Spirit not many days hence. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Hamashiach, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom of Israel? And he said unto them, it is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power. But ye shall receive power after that the Holy Spirit is come upon you, and ye shall be witness unto me, both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria and unto the uttermost parts of the earth. So you know we're going to be scattered. Said unto the uttermost parts of the earth. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. A cloud, a cherub, received him out of his sight. And this is what the two angels, those two angels sitting down there looking at the disciples while he was going up. They were looking at them. And it says, and while they looked steadfastly toward heaven, and as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand you gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushua, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as you have seen him go into heaven. So how did he come and how did he go? How's he coming back? The same way he left. So who was in the midst of all these brethren down in Jerusalem at that time? Thousands and thousands of angels, which were in clouds. Okay, so when we look at Ezekiel 9, the Most High is about to come down, right? And he got this man in linen writing down everything going on about the men that sigh and cry in the mist. So he's writing down everything. So you got all these angels don't travel alone. They always got other angels around. They're busy. When we look at Revelation 4, when we look at Ezekiel 9 and 4, again, I'm going to read it. And the Most High said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem. What you're seeing right here is a form of the coronavirus. And set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he said in mine hearing, Go ye after him through the city, and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark. And begin at my sanctuary. All of us are scattered, so the sanctuaries are all over. Then they began at the ancient men, which were before the house. Who were the first people to die in this coronavirus? What were they saying? Old men. Then they jumped to the black community, black and Latino community, quickly. Said, let us start with the house of Israel and start at the old men. Now it's slaying little children and women. You're starting to hear about children dying. Coronavirus is jumping on children. And he said unto them, Defile the house, and fill the courts with the slain. Go ye forth. And they went forth and slew in the city. This is what we're seeing now. A lot of people are dying. Let's look at more prophecies on this mark. Let's go to Revelation 13. Book of Revelation 13. Revelation 13, and let's read verse 16 through 17. And he calls all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right, that's coming. That's this government. All right, a lot of people are getting sealed the wrong way, believing in the wrong thing. They believe in this government, not the Most High's government. Look at Revelation. Let's go to Revelation 14 and 8. Revelation 14 and 8. And it reads, And there followed another angel, saying, Babylon is fallen, the great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Did you vote? Did you vote? We got to vote, man. We got to take out Trump. We got to vote. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. Well, we just talked about with friends. If you grab the wrong friend, you bring sin upon sin. And the Most High said, what a pity. Why would you join with friends who are friends of the world, who don't care nothing about the Most High? The Most High said, what a pity. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Wow. Look at Revelation 16:2. This is all those who believe in this Babylon. Revelation 16:2. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. The super spreader caused all kinds of brothers to die. You got Ben Carson struggling right now with coronavirus. Verse 3. And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of a dead man, and every living soul died in the sea. Let's go to Revelation chapter 19. Revelation chapter 19, verse 20. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet, that wrought miracles before him. They're about to come out with the solution to this coronavirus. The vaccine. Everybody gonna praise America. It's coming from America, this vaccine. They're waiting on the FDA to approve it. 95% curable. All right? You're all gonna praise America. With which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone. And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth. And all the fowls were filled with their flesh. Let's go to Revelation 15. Revelation 15. Revelation chapter 15, verse 1. And it reads, And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of the Most High. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire. Wow. And them that had gotten the victory over the beast and over his image. All right, don't believe in this place. And over his mark and over the number of his name stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of the Most High. See that? We're going to sing a song. Let's go back to Ezekiel 9 and 8. Place is already crippling this place. Ain't nothing we can do to stop it. we are powerless as far as stopping this thing. The only thing we can do is ask for protection during this thing. Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 8. And it reads, And it came to pass while they were slaying them, talking about the angels slaying them, and I was left, that I fell upon my face and cried and said, my power, my power. Wilt thou destroy all the residue of Israel in thy pouring out of thy fury upon Jerusalem, which is the people of Jerusalem? Then said he unto me, The iniquity of the house of Israel and Judah is exceeding great, and the land is full of blood. We ain't woke up. And the city full of perverseness. For they say, The Most High hath forsaken the earth, and the Most High seeth not. See that? And as for me also, mine eye shall not spare, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense their way upon their head. All right? And this is what's going to happen. This is what's going on, man. This is a prophecy. You ain't going to have pity. You want to claim these people as friends? It's like we read in Ecclesiastes 12 and 12. He said that he ain't going to have pity. He ain't going to have pity. Think about this. The people have been locked down and tried to change by social distancing, the same as what we see in the scriptures concerning Nineveh. They did the same thing when Jonah came. They all repented. They all changed. But when they saw that the Most High removed that destruction that was coming, they started to get worse in their dealings. The same thing will happen here. When the social distancing and the mask and the stay-in-place order is removed, sin is going to bust out like the Hulk. It's going to be bigger and stronger in its wickedness. Take on the whole armor of the Most High so you will stand in this evil day.
Immediately. I want a full court evacuation now. I'm shutting you down.
Lockdown. Didn't you hear what the general said?
I said lockdown!
Here! I need a sample of him!
All right, come on. Let's take it easy, buddy. This might give you a bit of a sting here, Bruce.
Clear your weapon! Clear! Give me the M2.
So long, big boy.
Lock down the entire facility immediately.
Target's still moving towards blue level.
Evacuate the main hall.
And let's go to 2 Ezra chapter 6. 2 Ezra 6, verse 18. And it said, Behold, the days come that I will begin to draw near and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. What does that mean, to hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness? Chemical warfare. These people have created chemical warfare on the earth. Most High is going to visit them. All right, all types of chemical warfare, syphilis, gonorrhea, sex diseases, and stuff like that. The Most High worked through them, but these people came up with those thoughts, and they wanted to hurt us in secret first with those projects. Man, this man is very, very deviant. He's going to come back and revisit the earth. Go to Wisdom of Solomon, and we'll come back to this. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1. Wisdom of Solomon, and let's go to chapter 1, and let's read verse 13. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, verse 13. For the Most High made not death. He made not death. See that? So who's killing people? The Most High is using our sin to kill us, but he didn't make death. They creating chemical warfare. The Most High didn't. He was never about that. Neither hath he pleasure in the destruction of the living, for he created all things that they might have their being, and the generations of the world were healthful, and there is no poison of destruction in them, nor the kingdom of death upon the earth. We were never supposed to be evil-minded, trying to take people out just because. Where is that? When we read in the same book, the Apocrypha, it said in 2 Ezra that they came to hurt the peaceable. Who came to hurt the peaceable? You had various nations on the earth, 17 nations living peaceably. So look at Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12. It says, Seek not death in the error of your life. Seek not death in the error of your life. You know, people try to commit suicide. Don't seek death in the error of your life. And pull not upon yourself destruction with the works of your hands. Chemical warfare. Let's go back to 2 Ezra 6 and 20. 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 20. And when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. The books shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. Man is going to destroy itself. And the children of, and I ain't talking about Israel that believe, I'm talking about man, Esau and all his confederates. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. The woman with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. What is that? I mean, that's going on now. We have these premature babies. You know, that didn't really start till the 80s when premature babies would live. They'll be in incubation tanks until they reached a full grown age. And then a lot of times they end up being stronger than those who were birthed at 9 months, these incubation children. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. We see in these places now. H&M just closed. They closed over 250 stores in the United States. All these stores are closing, and some of them indefinitely are not coming back. Verse 23, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. Man. At that time shall friends fight one against another. Friends are going to fight one against another, like enemies. According, this is the prime example of what we were talking about today. People who make friendships on things they have in common are not really friends. They're not really friends. They're going to fight against each other. And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told these shall escape, and see my salvation and the end of your world. See that? We have to understand that the Most High is creating this place for destruction. Well, he created it for us to live forever, but it's in the hands of the wrong person right now, and it's got to take its course and finish its course for us to have life again, to reestablish life on this earth as the children of Israel serving the Most High. The Most High has a plan, and it's coming into effect. And with that, I'm going to end this class. Next week, we'll have one more session of class on friends. And we'll start with that.
I'm going to end this right there. This is how we do it.
Right. Hey, you gotta teach them how to do it right, see?
This is the word of the Lord of hosts. I took you from the pastures and from following the sheep to be prince over my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you have gone and have destroyed all the enemies in your path. I will make you a great name among the great ones of the earth. I will assign a place for my people in Israel. There I will plant them, and they shall dwell in their own land.